Hey students of freshman physics, I heard that you guys have your science MCAS coming up pretty soon, and I know that can be a scary and stressful time for you. So I thought I'd want to help out. I know that one of the biggest topics covered on the physics MCAS is reflection and refraction. So I just want to give you some of my own tips on how to conquer those problems on the MCAS. So first, let's start with the reflection. Now, what is reflection? Well, you should know that reflection is when a wave returns back to its original medium after reaching a boundary between two media. It's essentially what you would think of reflection. Hits one point and then reflects back out of the way. Sometimes a wave can be partially reflected, meaning that not all of the initial wave's energy is transmitted back in the reflection. Now, one of the major things I'm sure Ms. Rowland and other physics teachers have taught you is the law of reflection, one of the most basic parts when coming to this topic. And it basically means that the angle of incidence equals the angle of reflection, with the angle of incidence being the angle the light comes into, and the angle of reflection being the way that it comes out. And that's something key that you all need to know for your MCAS. Next, we also have diffuse reflection, which is when light is incident on a rough surface, so it's reflected in many directions. Note that this still follows the law of reflection, because still follows the law of reflection. So it could come in this way, and because the surface is so rough, it will bounce back in a lot of different directions, making it diffuse. And then we've been really focusing on light energy this whole time. So let's talk a bit about sound energy. And sound energy that's not reflected is either absorbed or transmitted. And I'm sure they're going to ask you a conceptual multiple choice question about that, so just keep that in the back of your mind. And understand this in the concept of reverberations, which is when you're in an auditorium, for example, and you can hear sound coming from multiple points. This is because of reverberations, which is multiple reflections only coming from one source, which is how you get that noise in an auditorium. Next, let's look at refraction, which is the bending of a wave as it crosses the boundary between two media. And the most common example that you can think of is when you put a pencil in water. You can see the pencil kind of bend and it looks weird, but that's just because of the refraction of light, as you see it in your own eye. One of my tips for your exam is to draw wave fronts when you know it's a refraction problem, because that will really help you kind of understand the material and give you a good visual picture of what's going on. We know that sound waves are refracted when parts of wave fronts are traveling at different speeds, and that's key. It could be as a result of winds or different temperatures that cause the different speed of the wave, and thus it's also going to cause refraction. So understand that if you're presented with a problem on refraction, think about if there's different temperatures or if the waves are going at different speeds, because that could cause this refraction that the problem is talking about. Finally, let's talk about the critical angle, which is the angle of incidence that results in the perpendicular refraction. And I'm sure they're also going to ask you a conceptual multiple choice question on that, so be prepared for that. So good luck everyone, and I hope this demonstration that we will show you next gives you a better idea of what reflection and refraction really is. Good luck!
Here's some info about reflection. Alright, so here's reflection. We have our mirror, and then the light comes in and it bounces off the mirror, and the angle of incidence is the same as the angle of occurrence. Now we're going to look at an example of refraction.
This explains the refraction because the pencil is bigger under the water than it is above the water.
Checkmate. The next thing we're going to watch is elephant toothpaste. This relates to reflection because if you don't like it, you could always reflect sunlight into the hydrogen peroxide and it would decompose, preventing the reaction. Now reflection, kids.
And I put tape on it, and then I forgot to put the soda water in. That'll do it.
You had one job.
Mine's not broken,
Yes,
so.
you had one job.
Yay!
I missed on one of them.
You know what, you guys? There are these marking pencils that you can write directly on your test tube. And if you don't put tape on it, you don't have to worry about matching the weight of the tape. There's one on the bench there, and there's one in here. I advise you to use the marking pencils instead of using.
That was fun, guys.
I like that better too.